All right. Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to talk about Wild Wonder 2022 and hopefully help you all get prepared, get ready, and make the decision if you haven't made the decision or not of whether you're not going to go to the conference this year. So what I'm going to do first is just go through a couple little suggestions, and then I'm going to do a share screen and talk about the schedule and all the speakers so we can look at all the speakers together. And I'm going to show you how I use the Sched app to sign up for the classes that I want to take. So first of all, I think this is super important and is something that I talked about in some of the classes that I've given at Wild Wonder in the past. And this goes back to the ancient Greeks, and it's the quote, know thyself. So before going to this Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference, and if you haven't done the 30-day challenge already, we started the first day writing about your nature journaling intentions for September. So thinking about your intentions, and I recommend having, if you don't already have sort of like a journal more for writing, I recommend getting one and using that for some note taking and some writing just about your self-awareness, because going into a conference like this, or even deciding whether or not you're going to go, knowing what your intentions are with nature journaling and what your intentions are going to the conference is really important. So I'm just going to share, I did do a video all about nature journaling mindset. And so I'm just going to share the link to that. I know a lot of people have seen it already before, and they've taken it as a class, and that's how it's sort of designed to be as a class. You don't need to have the schedule in front of you if you don't want to. It's not necessary. I'm going to show you mine. So I highly recommend doing a little bit of journaling about your intentions. Like, what are you trying to get out of this conference? What is your overarching nature journaling goal? If you just nature journal for relaxation, is this conference in alignment with that goal? So thinking about those things before choosing to go to the conference or not is super useful. And then how are you going to decide which classes to take? So coming up with a criteria for how to choose classes is super important also. So are you going to take classes that are in alignment with that, will build on your weaknesses? So for example, if you're not good at iridescence, painting iridescence, raise your hand. I'm not good at painting iridescence. Then maybe taking that class that is all about painting iridescence would be based on, that being a weakness and you wanting to get better. Other strategy would be to take classes that are already in an alignment with the type of nature journaling you want to do. So if you don't want to do pastels, then maybe don't take the class about pastels because you don't do pastels. So thinking about whether you want to build on your strengths or build on your weaknesses. You can also decide on classes based on which teachers you like. Do you like their teaching style? Do you like listening to them talk? You can sign up for them based on that criteria. And then last but not least, what materials you have. So this is going to end up being the main deciding factor for me. And I'm about to show you, I don't have materials for all of the classes. And where I'm traveling right now, it's not easy to get those materials. So unfortunately, some of those classes that I want to take, I won't be able to take because I'm not going to be able to buy the materials. Then also think about which things would be good live versus recorded. And just one tip right now, pencil miles and chill sessions are only going to be available during the live. And last year, that was one of my absolute favorite parts. So I highly recommend not missing the pencil miles and chill sessions. I would rather miss a class that's going to be recorded than to miss that. So right now, before I share my screen, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go over the schedule. I'm going to show you how to do some stuff there, talk about some of the different teachers, gossip about the different teachers. No, just kidding. And then, but before I do that, I just want to say hi to everyone that's participating in the live chat. Thanks for joining in. I see Valerie's here, Eli's here, Angie's here, Cindy's here, Tiffany is here, Susan is here. And that's all the people that I see commenting in the chat. If you're watching and you're not participating in the chat, that's fine. But if you want to, Judy is here too also. Go ahead and let me know what class you're most looking forward to by posting that in the chat. Okay, great. So I am going to share my screen here. And all right. So check this out. You've probably been to John Muir Law's website before. It's a huge resource with a ton of information. And this is where, the starting point for the Wild Wonder information is. So if you haven't decided yet, you might want to watch this video with Jack. Look how, don't you want to join in on something where you get to hear him talk every morning at 6 a.m. or whatever? So you can watch the video with him and kind of get an idea of whether or not you want to, take it. And then obviously down here, there's information about it. The live access pass is $95 for the full online conference. Okay. So sounds like a good chunk of money. It's a little bit under the $100 mark, but it is a good chunk of money. And though they do point out here that this works out to around $3 per class. So that's really cheap. And if you saw my interview with Kate Rudder and Ivea, Kate Rudder is probably going to put in, 30 hours or more of work preparing this class. So if you think about it, you are getting a good deal. And then there's also the pay it forward ticket. So if you want to, donate to the event, then you can do that and you get some special gifts apparently. Class schedule. I'm going to go into that a little bit more, but I just want to cover these things here real quick. Notice there is a scholarship option. I don't know if this is, hopefully this is, you probably should have applied for those things as early as possible. It might be a little bit late. There's an auction fundraiser, and then there's a video pass. So I'm not going to go that in depth into that, but there's a couple of options there. And then last but not least, it is in partnership with the Foster Museum and Heyday. Obviously, John Muir Laws is sort of the main person. There's some more information here, including the planning team and stuff like that. And if you want to give any suggestions, they have an email and a frequently asked questions thing here at the bottom. All right, now I'm going to jump into the schedule that's available on here, and then I'm going to show you what you'll see once you already buy your tickets. But let's just go here to the schedule. Where'd it go? Here we go. So spend some time looking at this. I recommend. This is the complete schedule. You might want to just download a copy of this and have it somewhere nearby. For those of you like myself who like paper better than apps and stuff like that, having this printed out and next to you could be beneficial. And you can see here all of the people who are presenting. You can see the breaks. It's a little bit weird, but it goes each day goes sort of vertically like that. So that's might be a little bit confusing at first. So you're going to start with Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and everything going down that way. But the benefit of that is you can see that there's these breaks. And this is something I think they changed from last year. I don't think there was, like, for example, a dinner break. And so that's kind of nice. There's 45 minutes for you to run and get something to eat. And then the Pencil Miles and Chill, I want to point out, has a 20-minute break in front of it and a 15-minute break after it. So try not to miss those. If you're doing the live, I highly recommend it. It's the one time where you actually get to see other participants. So that's one of the main downsides of a virtual conference is you don't get to physically be with or see the other participants. And so it takes away a little bit from the democratic aspect of a conference because, you just see the speakers. And for me as a speaker, for example, I don't get to see my audience and see if they're engaging or if people are falling asleep. And so the Pencil Miles and Chill is the one place where you can see if people are falling asleep or not. And I guarantee you people aren't going to be falling asleep. They might be eating their Cheerios, while they're joining in, but otherwise, that's such a great part of the whole thing. So I really recommend not missing that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it looks like once you've signed up. You are going to get something like this. So, I'm not a huge fan of having to sign up and create, a new account, a new password for different things. And sometimes that can be the thing that turns me off from buying a ticket to an event like this. So I know that some of you might not have bought your tickets yet, and this part might be, the stumbling block or the part where you're like, oh, I don't want to create another password and log in. I totally understand if that's the case. For those of you that have already pulled the trigger, let's go through this a little bit, how Sched works. And I think some people call it Sched. I'm not really that worried about how it's pronounced correctly, but this is what it looks like on my login. So you can see my little face there. That's me. And then you've got all of these options here: schedule, speakers, sponsors, special conference discounts, and attendees. I am going to just start with the schedule part. So you can see I have, you can see that the schedule part has a gray box around it, because that's what we're seeing right now. And there's a couple different ways you can see the schedule, but I don't really think that's very important. So if this is already feeling overwhelming, don't worry about that part. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to sort of scroll down and show you how I use this. So to start with, you can see the event starts on September 14th, but they have this thing here for September 13th. So inside of here, you can get some information. So this is some information about how to, access the live classes, et cetera, et cetera. So it's useful information, and it has the special conference discounts, but, it's pretty basic. And what I'm going to do is just show you how I will, how I prepare for this. So what I do is I go through and I'm going to click all the things that I want to go to. So for example, let me open it up to see a little bit more information and show you. But this is every single morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So I guess if you're on the East Coast, if you're not on the West Coast, it's going to be later in the day. And so every morning, Jack is going to read a poem and give a nature journaling challenge. This is different from the 30-day challenge that I am doing, but another challenge that's focused specifically on the 5 days of the conference. So right here, you can see that if you click this, it adds it to your schedule. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to add everything to my schedule that I want. So I want this daily poem thing in the morning. And then 8:30 a.m. California time is the welcome with John Muir Laws and Tony Foster. So this is going to be a talk. And you can see over here on the side that it tells you what the different, it supposedly has categories for the different things. That's what these colors are about. So there's breaks, classes, panels, pre-conference, presentation, socializing, and virtual field trips. Almost everything is going to be that orange color because they're classes. This is just a talk. It's a presentation. So let's check it out. It's going to be with Tony Foster, who's an amazing watercolorist. He does these huge watercolors in situ. They talked last year, and this should be interesting. Some people like talks more than other people, so I recommend doing some doodling or sketch noting while you're watching. And actually, I recommend that for everything, because sketch noting is probably the single most useful tool for this conference. And I know that Kate Rudder is going to be giving a class on sketch noting. She's a professional sketch noter, and sketch noting overlaps with nature journaling in so many ways. I can show you a page of my sketch noting in here somewhere. But sketch noting is a way for you to actively participate in the conference. It's going to help you remember. So here's just some experiments with sketch noting. It's going to help you remember, and it's going to improve your nature journaling. So I would say sketch noting, if you can only do one thing during the entire conference that will improve your everything, your experience, then I would recommend sketch noting. And unfortunately, Kate Rudder's class is sort of later in the conference, but get yourself a journal. Use your regular nature journal or use a separate journal, but definitely try to sketch note, because this talk with Tony Foster and John Muir Laws, they're going to be talking for a while, and they're engaging, especially Jack when they're talking, but still having something to do with your hands to help you process the information. Or even if you're doodling an unrelated thing, or maybe knitting or something, would be a recommendation during the talks. Just saying, okay? So, all right, I'm going to go back to my schedule, back to the bigger schedule. So I've got those two checked, and next class is Nature Journaling Our Stewardship with Eva. So this is super cool, in my opinion, because Yvette is talking about a way to use nature journaling in applied ways. A lot of us use nature journaling as sort of a hobby. We do it for fun. We do it for personal fulfillment. Yvette does that also, but she's also combining it with ecological restoration. So she's helping some of these California native ecosystems, be more balanced. She's helping remove invasive species that are reducing the biodiversity. She's doing a whole bunch of work to help conserve that ecosystem for future generations and for all of the benefits that that ecosystem provides, and also just its inherent value as a California native ecosystem. So I'm going to click that one. I definitely want to go to that. That's going to be really interesting, at the cutting edge of nature journaling, in my opinion. Here's the Pencil Miles and Chill. So I'm going to open it up just so you can see a little bit of information about it. But this will be a really, really great thing. Yvette is going to be facilitating it, but it's just a really fun place to see other people and talk to other people. It's basically the only sort of, in my opinion, the only really community kind of event at this conference. Everything else is just sort of people like me just talking and all of you listening. Robin Lee Carlson is one of my favorite nature journalers and artists. Her class last year was one of my favorites. So I am going to definitely go to that one. It doesn't look like I need any special materials. Melinda is doing one about birds. Melinda Nakagawa is another amazing nature journaling educator I've interviewed in the past. So you can see here, you can read about each individual person. I'll show you that because this might be a way that some of you will decide which classes to take. You can come here, you can read about her, you can find out her website. This is the same with everybody. Some people will have their, social media stuff on here. So if you want to research the instructor before taking the class, I highly recommend researching the instructors before taking the class. You can do that here. If you're sketchnoting, you could even get a little sketch of her based on her photo before the class. That's a sketchnoting tip. Speaking of sketchnoting, one of the main teachers of sketchnoting is going to be teaching a class at this event. So, and that's the very next one. So Mike Rohde, he's a pretty big shot. He came to the Nature Journaling Conference last year, and he's coming from an ancillary field of sketchnoting. And like I said, I think sketchnoting is going to be the most powerful tool you can use during the conference to help you learn. Obviously, it can affect your nature journaling as well. Let me show you another example for my nature journal, even though my screen's small. I use some sketchnoting techniques for my index. I now do an index at the beginning of every nature journal. And I think I'm actually going to pause the screen share and go over to see if there's any comments, because I can't see your comments while I'm sharing. So let's see here. And while I'm doing that, I'll show you a sketch note. I can't show you all of this because I'm going to do a journal share of it in the future, but just wanted to show you. All right, let's see if anybody had any questions here. Oh, that is really awesome. Thank you, Eli. Hopefully more people do that who can. Yay, Sandra's here. Hi, Sandra. Glad you made it alive. Okay, so this is a good point from Eli. So this is something that I can't demonstrate right now, but there is going to be a little button that you click on to join the live. So if you're not super fluent with technological stuff like this, just take some deep breaths and try to show up early for everything, and plan as if there's going to be technological problems for sure. So give yourself a little bit of extra time, maybe drink half calf instead of full calf coffee before you sign in, and be prepared for some types of glitches like this one that Eli's mentioning. So thank you for pointing that out. Wow, tons of comments here that I'm not going to be able to keep track of. So if you're watching this on YouTube, there is a way, I think it's on this side or maybe on this side of your screen, to see the live chat. There's a ton of great information over there. If you're watching this on Facebook, you might need to sign in later on YouTube to see all of that valuable conversation, because we've got Evea here, we've got Leslie here, we've got a bunch of people sharing important information. So really great. And then here's someone on Facebook that I wanted to so also just want to point out, if you're unable to attend Wild Wonder this year, I am going to be doing daily updates. I might be doing them the morning after, because in my time zone, it's going to be really late at the end of the day. But last year, every single day I did an update. I kind of gave some reviews of the different classes. I showed some of my nature journal pages. I'm obviously not going to show like a pirated version of all the classes, because that would be sort of undermining the whole conference. But for people who aren't able to attend, I will be providing some, help keep you on top of what's going on. Okay, lots of questions here. All right, so I can't answer all of the questions in here. If you can, check out the live chat. And here's another really good tip from Valerie. Because of the way my screen sharing works, while I'm screen sharing, I can't see all of the comments. So just want to sign in here real quick. And now I'm going to switch back to the screen share and continue to go through the schedule. And here we go. Thanks to everybody who's sharing information there. So if you can, look up Mike Rohde in advance. If you can do any sketchnoting before the conference, I highly, highly recommend it. Getting in the habit of sketchnoting before the conference is going to be game changing for you for sure. So he's one of the founders of sketchnoting, and he's going to be there. Good. And he's talking about page layout. So page layout is something I'm very interested in. It makes a big impact on what your pages look like. So let me show you some pages from my recent nature journal, even though you won't get to see them that much because it'll be small. Here is some page layout stuff that I've done, and taking this class with Mike Rohde will be awesome, because the way you organize your page can affect the aesthetics, but it can also affect the readability and the organization of the information in a really useful way. Okay, so break for dinner. I think this is really, let me show you one thing here that's kind of funny. This might not be the best way to decide like what classes you want to take, but if you scroll down in any of these things, you can see who's signed up for it. So 218 people signed up for the break for dinner, and hopefully they're not like expecting that food is going to get Uber Eats delivered to their house or something like that. But you can sign up for the break for dinner if you just want to have that in your schedule to remind you to go take 45 minutes to go eat. But this is something that you might or might not be interesting, but you can scroll down and you can see who's signed up for the different things. So for example, I could open this up and see who signed up for the dinner break. And then I can go in here, and maybe it's someone who's an instructor, and I'm like, oh, Bethan, I've heard that she has a podcast. Maybe I should go here and find her website or her Twitter, her Facebook, or her Instagram, or read about here. So when you sign up, you don't have to put in this information. So like, look at all these private people right here. These are people who didn't share their information. But remember, one of the benefits of a conference, and this is one of those few things, sort of like Pencil Miles and Chill, that is actually like democratic. So one of the benefits of a conference is meeting these people, not just meeting and listening to an instructor talk to the computer. So you can go on there, and if you want to network, you can put your information in here, and maybe other people will find you and connect with you this way. So just saying, you don't have to share information there. Look at all these people that are private. They have no information, but people who shared their information on here, presumably, and I actually know a lot of these people, presumably they want their information to be shared, and you can connect with them that way. If you accidentally shared your information and you realize you don't want it to, you can probably go back and change that. So I signed up for the break for dinner. That's going to be awesome. Make sure you sign up for the break for dinner. And then first keynote speaker is Rosemary. So Jack's going to introduce her. She makes really funny cartoons. If you haven't seen them yet, I highly recommend going to check them out. Look, she's been in the New York Times. So they're definitely pulling in some heavy hitters at the Wild Wonder Conference these days. So anyways, go check out the speakers before they give their presentations, and that will help you decide whether or not you want to sign up or not. I'm going to sign up for this. Remember, you don't have to do everything that you sign up for, but it could just clicking on them can be useful. And then one other thing for the first day is there's going to be these backstage pass discussions with Jack. And I think this is basically just going to be kind of summarizing the day and kind of reviewing the day there. I'm sure Jack is going to follow up about the challenges for that day. And hopefully there will be an opportunity for the community to contribute. So I'm going to sign up for that. So that's basically how you go through a single day and decide, look, I checked off everything. That's how you're going to decide, what you want to do. So for the next day, though, let me just show you very briefly. Some of these I'm not going to be able to do because I don't have the materials. So one of my recommendations is to develop a criteria of how you're going to choose which classes you're taking and which classes you aren't taking. So are you focusing on classes that are going to they're just interesting to you? Like if you're not interested in pastel, maybe you wouldn't take the pastel one, but you are interested in landscape. And you're interested in Alaska. So you take the one with Max Romy. Other one could be, taking classes that are going to help you improve your weaknesses. So if you're not good at painting iridescence, sign up for the class with Catherine Hamilton. My main criteria, because I want to take all the classes, is I'm not taking classes I don't have materials for. So just going through here briefly, I can do the poem with Jack. I can do the science comics with Karen Romano Young. I've interviewed her before. She's awesome, doing really cool work. Max Romy, I'm trying to interview him sometime in the future, hopefully. He's doing landscapes in Alaska, painting with distilled beverages in freezing conditions. So I'm definitely doing that. And I don't think he has any special materials. And then unfortunately, here's one that I won't be able to do because I don't have the materials. I might check it out. Here's the supplies list. I already opened the supplies list and the reference photos, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do this class. She definitely recommend checking out her blog. She's done a bunch of amazing sketches in the tropics in Central America, I believe, and highly recommend it. But I might not be able to. I'm just going to show you that I'm not going to sign up for that class because I don't have the materials. Sketch notes for nature journaling with Kate Rudder. I wish that one were on the first day. I'm definitely taking that. Getting started nature journaling with Marley Pfeiffer. I'm going because I'm teaching that one. I also wish that one were on the first day because it seems like a good thing to have on the first day. And then break for dinner. I'll sign up just for fun. And these last two. So that gives you an idea of how to go through here and sign up for the classes that you want to take and to kind of get a little bit more information about each one. I'll just randomly choose another, and I'm not going to go through every single one. Here, Catherine Hamilton does a really great example of giving a ton of information about what she's going to require for the class. So she's got these attachments here that you can open up, and look, they even show what the colors look like. That's amazing. And a whole long thing on materials. She even says to email her if you have any questions. So I know some of us sort of wait to the last minute to do everything, but this is the reason why it would be good to check this out beforehand, because some of these materials for her class, like if you show up 5 minutes before her class and you read this, you're going to be in trouble because she spent hours preparing this, you can tell. And she even says to email her in advance if you have any questions. And she has a ton of materials required. If you just show up and are kind of just watching, you might be able to get something out of it. But if you really want to learn, you should be prepared and buy the materials before the class. Last year, I did a whole materials list of every single supply mentioned in the Nature Journaling Conference. It took me like 20 hours to do that with links to every single supply. I don't think I'm going to do that this year. But do your homework in advance, find these things in advance, and then you will be prepared And that way you'll be able to make the most of these knowledgeable speakers and all the time and the work that they put into them. So that's basically like all that you need to know about this Sched, or whatever you want to call it. There are ways to use like search on here. There's other ways to organize your schedule. You can look up the speakers one by one over here. There's all the featured speakers, the fancy people who are just going to give talks. These are the people that are teaching classes or various other types of talks, but more like classes. So I recommend going in here and opening people's things up and learning about them before in advance. This class with Vitor is going to be awesome. I interviewed him last year before the Wild Wonder Nature Drilling Conference. I found him on Instagram, and then they got him to teach at Wild Wonder last year, partly based on me interviewing him, I think, and introducing him to the nature journaling community. So I'm definitely taking that. But come over here and into the speaker section, and you can learn about all of the different speakers and instructors. Up here at the top, it's schedule, speakers. Then there's sponsors, and then there's these discounts, and you can look at all the attendees over here. So there's just this huge list of thousands of people here. Maybe you could scroll through here, and maybe there's someone that you met before, but you lost their contact information. You could come in here, find them, and follow up with them. So consider using that tool. And like I said, you can stay private and then you won't show up on here. So that's basically all I have to show on how to use this. So I'm going to stop the screen sharing now. And let me know if you have any questions. It looks like there's been a bunch of good tips and stuff in here. This is a really great tip from Medea. This is funny. I remember there was one session last year where Ray Bonto started playing the guitar, and Ray Bonto's a little kid in London. And when I realized that it was 3 a.m., I think, in London, and he's playing guitar in his flat, I was like, God bless Ray Bonto's parents for putting up with their son's passions so much that they allow him to stay up online all night long and play the guitar at 3 a.m. in the morning. Cindy also enjoyed the backstage discussions. Those are the kind of things, the backstage and the pencil miles and chill are things that you won't be able to get the same value out of when it's recorded. So this is a good point. I know this was the case last year. I don't know if this is still the case. It didn't say it anywhere on the website. But last year, I think you had to click on each class if you wanted to get the recording of it. I'm not sure if that's still the case this year. So anyways, still just reviewing here. Eli said something important to emphasize, I think. Which one? This one? This is a strategy you could do, just click everything, and then, I don't think there's any downside to clicking the boxes. So you could just click everything, just in case that does affect what you're able to see. I am going to share this. I just wanted to plug a little bit. Oh, let me go back here, and I just want to plug the 30-day challenge. So I created this 30-day challenge to turn it into more of a month instead of just 5 days. And so what I recommend doing is doing the challenge. That way you get warmed up for nature journaling in advance. And I designed the prompts for each day to be skill building. So skill building to get you ready for the event, to get you into the flow before the event, and you'll be less likely to, have this sort of feast or famine effect during the 5 days of the event if you start getting warmed up and then have some time to follow up. So I'm sharing this on my website, is probably the best place to find it. So I'm just going to show that here, marleypiper.com. It's really easy. And you can get the PDF version and print it out, which I like. I can cross today's off because I did nearby nature already. There's something really, in my opinion, something really satisfying about crossing things off like this, that just gets my momentum going, and it makes it really enjoyable and palpable. So I like printing it out. It's on my website, and every single day this month, I'm going to be talking about each one of these more in depth on my website. And then if you are doing this, share your project with one of these hashtags. So Wild Wonder 2022, if you're going to post it online, use Wild Wonder 2022, or Nature Journaling Challenge. Nature Journaling Challenge or Wild Wonder 2022 are hashtags. So I just wanted to share those. And one more thing is intentions. So the first day of this, I said to write about your nature journaling intentions for September. This is super important. If you go into a conference like this, or into a big month for nature journaling, and you don't think about what your intentions are, what your nature journaling goals are, then you might make decisions and then later not really follow through with the decisions and not be sure why. If you understand what your intentions are with nature journaling, how those align with your life values in general, which a lot of people spend their entire life never really thinking about, it could be a good thing to think about at some point during our limited life on this planet, is to think about what your values and goals are in life. And then if your nature journaling goals line up with those, it helps you make decisions. So like, for example, if there's a class about how to nature journal in extreme conditions, like something that I might teach, and your goal with nature journaling is to relax, maybe nature journaling in extreme conditions, in the Arctic or whatever, might not be the class that you need to sign up for. So that's an obvious example, but just thinking about your intentions, your goals, and sort of life values, and how those relate to nature journaling will help you. Maybe doing a conference at all is not in alignment with your intentions. One of my main intentions is learning above all else. So obviously taking classes that are going to force me to learn new things is in alignment with my intentions. So that's one, intentions. And then sketchnoting. The sketchnoting thing is seriously so important, and is going to make a huge difference while you're watching. Some of these are just going to be people talking. So if you can have like a more dynamic note-taking technique, then that is going to be really, really helpful. Even if all you do is just add some little like brainstorm things like that, or some little doodle things like that, it's going to benefit you a lot, because as you can see on the schedule, there's going to be a lot of talks where it's people just talking. So be prepared for sketchnoting and making it into something more valuable. I'm going to just check in over here on the comments. Judy is saying that you have to be signed up for the class to get the recording. So there's no downside to checking the boxes. You might as well just go check through all of those boxes. And let's see. All right, that's it. Great. Thank you everybody for joining in. I've got another show coming up next Wednesday, next Sunday. It's always Wednesdays at 6 p.m. California time, and Sundays 1 p.m. California time. Even though I'm not in California anymore, people get confused about the time zone. So it's just staying the same time. It's been 2 years at the same time. So when the Nature Journal show is going to be. Check out my website if you want to do the challenge. It's really fun. It's just marleypiper.com. Every single day, I'm going to describe the different prompts. And so you can see me over there, and see me next week, Wednesday at 6 p.m. California time. Thank you everybody for joining in, and so much valuable information being shared. So good to, do a live again and see your names, if not your faces, Ivea and Eli and everybody, Susan and Valerie and Angie. Thank you so much for joining in. Really glad Judy made it over, and Cindy and all of you. All right, bye everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Get outside, do some drawing, do something creative, and see you next week. Bye.